So, good morning all. I think some of you have been affected by the party last night, but it's filling up now, that's great. Together with my colleague Marc from Billingsgate, we want to show you, where does the growth come beyond the classical listing business in classifieds. And for that reason, we brought 3 examples that we want to show you and we want to share with you. Maybe just a short wrap up on the Scout group. Okay, we are of course based mainly in Europe, and we have achieved, many leading market positions. In classifieds it's really important to be number 1 or number 2. And the group as a whole, achieved many of those positions over the years. It's a very well-known brand. It's, basically everybody in Germany and Switzerland knows that brand. We are very innovative in mobile and social media. So we have, like 10 million app downloads. We have up to or even more than 30% of traffic is coming from mobile already, which is a lot compared to other players. And if you look at the international footprint, you see some orange there, right down in the corner. Marc will go into that. It was our last acquisition, Property Guru. And Billingsgate is amongst the top 3 real estate platforms worldwide. So it's also the biggest business within the Scout group, and that's also the reason why Marc is the tallest guy. Okay, so that's just a short wrap-up. Now let's go into the strategic directions that we follow in the group for generating growth beyond the classified business. First is go deeper into the value chain in our markets. We have 2 examples, so I don't have to explain it here. You will see what it means. Then we have the core business consolidation, which is, create a market-leading player within a country, for example, which is, has clear synergy effects, and you become the number 1 player. This is mainly driven by M&A. Then see emerging markets and adjacent geographies. We will also see a clear example from Marc in a minute. And last but not least, new business, which is basically leveraging our brand into new segments. So, based on these strategic directions, let's go into the examples. First example for deepening the value chain comes from Autoscout. Autoscout is the market-leading platform in Europe, and we are going into it's a used car platform, a classical classifieds business, and we now go into a totally different, not totally different, but adjacent direction where we leverage our brand and our customer relationships. So, look at this. That's the business that we operate at the moment. Germans buy or sell a car every 5 to 6 years, used car business, and in that kind of value chain, you see, we see the customer every 5 to 6 years. It's not really true because people look a lot for cars, even though they may not buy a car. But there are many other touch points in the service life cycle of a car. So when you bought a car, you need inspection services every 10 to 25,000 kilometers. You need a general inspection every 2 years. You need a serpentine belt replacement, Zahnriemen in Germany, every 40 to 60,000 kilometers. And we have around 40,000 garages in Germany only who do that kind of business, and it's a market which is around 30 billion euros in size. So it's really a very big market. So this market, basically, we go into from Autoscout. Car dealers very often have garages. They know Autoscout very well. We are very known. We made a kind of survey. We asked customers, whom do you know offering those kind of service and inspection services online? and they are basically, we ranked #1 at AutoScout, even though we did not have any service. So we thought, yeah, that's maybe a good basis to start that business, because it's a trusted brand and people believe that we can bring that service. And that's exactly what we do. So we go to the garages, mainly, or very often car dealers that we have, where we have contracts with anyway, and offer that kind of platform where consumers can book the inspection and services directly online. And how does it work? That's very easy. I'll show you in a second. First, of course, what's our goal, of course, is, become the biggest independent car service portal in Germany, make service reservations very easy online, guarantee prices, which is often an issue. You see a lot of it's 49 euros, and that you end up with 499 euros, because, a lot of things come on top. But we can guarantee you a price because it's very tailored to the type of car, and we know exactly what is needed, how much labor units you need, how many parts, what's the price of the parts, and you can calculate it exactly, and it's a guaranteed price. This is unseen in Germany up to date. And so we create a whole new market. How does it work? You basically type in first the service you want. This is, at the moment, it's a standardized services like oil service, aircon service, general inspection. Yeah. Then, of course, you type in the type of car and where you live. Then you get a list of all garages with their price, and you can compare the prices. And at the end, you just fix the date of the service online. That's it. Then you bring the car there. They know exactly what to do. You pay the price. Inspection is made. Very easy. Done. Okay. New market, 30 billion. We have a brand. We have the customer relationships. And we just do that. So, next example, I will hand over to Marc.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. So, you've seen one example from the AutoScout area, so I will give you another example from the Immobilienscout, from the property area. The German property market has changed significantly in the last 5 years after the financial crisis. People have lost their trust in traditional bonds or stocks, or traditional bank investment alternatives, and have turned towards investment in real estate. That has led to a significant increase in prices, mainly in the capitals, Berlin, Hamburg, Munich, Frankfurt, and other urban areas. And so rental prices and prices for houses and flats are going up. And this, for example, on our marketplace, the demand for buying houses or flats has increased 5-fold since 2007, which shows you how after decades of a flat, rather boring property market in Germany, things have changed dramatically. In parallel, we see a significant change in how mortgages are sold and marketed in Germany. You see that here on the left-hand side, that in the old days, people go to their branch of the bank where they have their account and ask for a mortgage and sign the contract. That has changed and will change over the course of the next years significantly. So bank outlets will lose their market share for selling mortgages, and indirect and direct things like the internet, for example, will win. And in parallel, there are financial brokers, financial intermediaries selling different banks and consulting the person and helping him to find the right bank, to find the right mortgage, win in market share. So we expect that in about 2020, 50%, so every second mortgage, will not be sold through a traditional bank outlet anymore. In parallel to this, we see that the information process, which we call ROPO, research online and purchase offline, of how I get a mortgage, will go online, from offline to online. And we, as the leading property portal with about 10 million unique users every month, are in a great position to benefit from that. We asked people, where do you look and where do you inform yourself when you're looking for a mortgage? And we are number one, we're the number one point of interest for researching terms and how mortgage work versus bank websites or even specialized websites. And that obviously gave us a very good starting position when we thought about that business and extending our business into that value chain about 18 and 24 months ago. So dramatic increase in property prices and looking into mortgages, change in the way how mortgages are sold and marketed, and the business is going digital, and we should benefit from that as the leading portal. What we then further looked into is how does that work? How's the information decision process when people look for mortgages? And this process altogether lasts about 2 to 3 months usually. And people start to collect information first, understand, okay, how does a mortgage work? What can I afford? And what are different ways how to do that? How much equity do you need to put into a mortgage? Then you have a second step when you already have your house more concretely. Then you start to compare vendors and start to request offers. And then in the final stage, closely before you go to the notary, then you need to select the vendor and select one offer. And we basically introduced a couple of different products to address those different steps into the decision process. One is in the first step, we offer people lots of advice through web and through mobile devices, a calculator, what they could afford, and we integrate that into the property search process, so it's very much torn into the decision-making process. So that's for the first process, that's warming the people up, and then we launched a vendor comparison service, and that's in the meantime Germany's biggest vendor comparison service for mortgages. We have about 1,400 vendors paying in this, and out of this are 300 banks, and the rest are independent financial intermediaries. They are offering real-time interest. They are rated, so the consumer can decide by interest rate, by rating, and also by brand. So we see that the banks have some advantage about financial intermediaries. They are a trusted brand, and people can compare on a local basis. So you type in your local address and the kind of amount which you want to finance, and you can play with equity rates and other variables for the mortgage, and you get a search result list which is ranked by interest rate, and then you have additional information, and then you can request a lead either by phone or by email to get further offer. And then there's a third step. When you're very close to making the decision, we launched the first reverse auction model in Europe for mortgages, and that's where you basically place your mortgage and want to attract offers. In average, you get 8 offers by banks and intermediaries, and then you can select who you want to get into a close negotiation with, and it's a complete credit application which is put online. So these are the 3 products which serve these decision-making need, and that shows how we address the mortgage market. And in this year, 2012, about 2 years after we started this service, we're standing for about 100,000 out of 700,000 mortgages newly signed in Germany. That's not including renewals, so it's new mortgages. So it's already a market share of 15%, and that's representing a mortgage volume of 240 billion this year. So we're quite happy with this progress, and we believe as the digitalization of finding and comparing mortgages will further go into, that we can get even a bigger piece of that cake. So that's a second example of how we basically deepen the value chain of our classical classified business. And now let's look into the dimension of looking into emerging markets. When we about one and a half years ago looked into, can we internationalize Immobilien Scout? we said we have very mature markets. There's a dominant player in every mature European country, whether it's Rightmove in the UK or SeLoger or us in Germany. So we need to look further abroad. So we looked into emerging markets, and there are interesting trends. Usually property markets are very local, so you can't roll out your platform into 10 markets because you want to become the dominant player, to have fun in the business. And in emerging markets, you see a very interesting trend. There is growth in population, people moving towards the cities, and there's a affluent middle class who's moving into the cities, finding employment there, and looking for proper housing. So there's lots of things new build. Developers play a very important role. And in that combination, with the trend of internet penetration going up, that means that the traditional property advertising market will move online. Basically, what has happened in Europe and in the US 5, 6, 7 years ago is happening now in these emerging markets. And that's why we decided to look into emerging markets, and that's why we invested in May in this year into the leading Asian player, Southeast Asian property guru, which is based in Singapore. It's a clear market leader in Singapore, and it has activities in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. So a huge market, overall about 340 million people living in those 4 countries alone. And driven by these trends, which I just described, people moving into the cities, lots of developers building new things, and the internet raising its penetration, that means that about 600 million of annual property advertising business could go online and goes online every year with increasing time. So we invested in this. The founders are still on board, are still in majority ownership, and we act as a strategic investor into this. And when you ask what can we add to this as a strategic investor, first of all, it's money to finance the growth. The company is doubling this year. Secondly, it's sharing best practice. In the last 13 years in Europe, in Germany, we have learned how to become a market leader, how to become a dominant property portal, and how to monetize that. This is knowledge which we can share with the colleagues in Singapore. It's around how to build a B2B marketing and sales force. It's about pricing, clever property pricing. It's about online marketing and scaling an IT operation and running that through multiple countries. And so it's adding that knowledge on a daily basis by exchanging experts, and that's really helping them growing as fast as they're doing. And obviously, if you grow, they have about 250 people. They will add another 50 to 100 probably next year. It's also about growing and maturing the organization, and there we have some knowledge to share. And the interesting thing is for us as well, it's not a fantastic investment, it's also changing our culture, our environment, because we basically need to invest and change our culture from a European or German-centric company into really international company, and that's adding a lot of fun, and we're looking to further emerging market investments over the course of the next years. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Marc, for those really great examples, and we hope that you got the picture. Classifieds, is just the basis for leveraging the customer contact, the brand, into more, let's say, parts of the value chain and using the digitalization of whole industries. Yeah? So we become, at the end, an industry platform, a must-have industry platform for cars, for real estate, and many other segments, and Classifieds is a perfect basis. So there is a lot more growth to come, and we thank you that you gave your attention. Thanks.
Thank you very much.